For the first time in my reporting career, I'm doing a childcare story as someone who's actively paying for childcare. My wife and I just made an initial deposit on daycare. Our firstborn is due in July. It doesn't matter, though, if you're a reporter, a doctor, a teacher. The high cost of childcare probably has you wondering if the government's ever going to do anything. And while major changes are unlikely in Washington this year, some minor ones are taking effect. Minor changes that could have a big ripple effect. To find these changes, it helps to break something. See this? A chip? That's where Washington is starting to make changes with childcare. To understand what we're talking about, it helps to recall when President Biden signed the CHIPS and Science Act last summer. That legislation invests billions of dollars into computer chip and semiconductor manufacturing in the United States. Hundreds of thousands of jobs are estimated by the White House to eventually be created. Fast forward to today, the Department of Commerce is beginning the process of deciding who should get the money. And it's on page 3 of the department's fact sheet about the process that a unique policy emerges. It says any applicant requesting more than $150 million in funding must provide a plan for access to affordable, accessible, reliable, and high-quality childcare for both facility and construction workers. On Twitter, the Secretary of Commerce made clear affordable childcare is a big requirement.
I think it's rethinking what childcare looks like.
Allie Lemaster doesn't have any plans on working in the computer chips industry, but she is a recruiter in the private sector for an automobile company in Florida. She says what the Department of Commerce is attempting to do is already happening in the private sector. Her company helps pay for her child's daycare. Bright Horizons, a national child care provider, tells Scripps News more companies are offering child care perks, just like they would healthcare or a 401k. Lemaster says her company's relationship with Bright Horizons saves her around $300 a month.
If I've got my child here, I'm going to think twice about leaving this organization. Because not just moving myself, I'm moving my child.
Whether or not the Department of Commerce's child care requirement encourages more private companies to offer assistance is still very much to be determined, but it's clear the requirement is creating controversy. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, who voted for the CHIPS Act, called the provision part of a, quote, union agenda. Senator Mitt Romney, the Republican senator from Utah, told the AP last month what President Biden is doing by jamming woke and green agenda items into legislation we pass is making it harder for him to ever get legislation passed again. Joe St. George, Scripps News, Washington.